Also, as well, to be fair, if it is real life or if it's a game, it doesn't matter. You do what the car is asking you. You know, you listen to what the car is telling you, and you do what you've got to do with what you have available. Hello and welcome. Today we've got a request video. On a previous video of mine, a comment was left, and they've asked me to have a look at the new Formula Vee Gen2 in AMS2. Their comment suggested that the car is maybe not as user-friendly as they feel it could be, and they wanted me to have a little look and just see if I felt the same or not. Now, if you want to get to just the setup of the car, I will leave a timestamp in the description below. For those interested in the process, the plan is to go out on the default setup, run it around a little bit, get a feel for the car, see what's what, come back and make any adjustments if I feel any are necessary. I'll give my opinion along the way, and we'll see where we end up and see if what they're asking or what they're saying is true about its user friendliness, and we'll go from there. Anyway, without further ado, let's get trackside and let's go and see a bit more about the car. Okay, here we are, trackside. Let's before we get any further, let's just have a quick look at the setup. So we can change front tyre pressures, we can change rear tyre pressures, we can change brake pressure and brake bias. I wonder if we can change it on the fly. That'll be interesting. Suspension. Okay, it's a bit sparse. Okay, we can change the steering lock. When we can change the rear ride height. Okay. No diff adjustments. Final drive. We can't change final drive. First gear jump straight to 2118. Yeah, okay, so we can't change gear ratios either. Well, we can, but there's no point doing so. And the fuel map, which you'd obviously just going to want it on rich anyway. 8 litres, 20 laps. Well, it's quite frugal with its fuel. Okay. So it's got a ride height of 40mm at the rear. We don't know what the ride height at the front is, so that's interesting. Well, we can soon find out though. Nice, easy to find that out. So if we okay, right. I'm not going to make any changes at the moment because that would just be absolutely ridiculous. So let's jump in the car. Let's put it on the telemetry HUD, and I'll just get the screen capture for that. Okay, right, so you can see if you focus on either the right front and the right rear, but on one side of the car, you can see you've got a 2.6 centimeter height on the front and a 3.3 centimeter height at the rear. So yeah, we've got 7mm rake, with the rear being higher. Okay, and a fair bit more travel at the rear. So it looks, yeah, so the rear is relatively high. Okay, cool. Right, we don't need that anymore then. We'll leave that where it is for now. Let's right, let's get on track and just give it a few laps and just see what's what. Bearing in mind that they're road tyres. There's they're going to take a little while to warm up, I would imagine. Right. I've got the halo so that it's not visible because I'm a saloon car driver. I don't have things interrupting my view really. Well, I do, but they're there and there. So let's have a little see. Let's see what's going on. feels not really a whole lot different to what you'd expect. Well, it's what you'd expect it to feel like, really. I mean, it's fairly. It's all right. I can't say I particularly. I don't really have much of an affinity for it, but we're not going fast yet anyway. So traction was a little bit. So on that last corner there, you've got a bit of a camber going into the curb, and that sort of makes the inside rear wheel quite light, and I didn't like that very much. You'll find this corner up here is kind of similar there as well. You just brush the curb. Let's see if we can get it. Brakes it. Yeah, you see there, just where the rear wheel was dropping into the camber of the corner, it's getting light, it's spinning up, and it doesn't like it very much. Brakes are it's nervous on the brakes. It doesn't. See there, and also when you're on the lock as well, if you're trying to turn whilst you've still got lock applied, it's kind of, the inside rear wheel's light, and it doesn't like it at all. Struggling to pull through there as well. It was constantly sort of had light spinning of the wheels. Right. I need to shut up a little bit and just drive and just see, keep it smooth, because it's very much. See that it's going to be very much a corner speed, keeping up momentum style racing. Yeah. Okay. This is the default setup. I'm surprised. It's not very user friendly. Well, straight away, I've used the same words as what the comment on my video made. Now, whether that's subliminal messaging, I don't know, but I would agree straight away. This car is not user friendly as a race car. If you were to do a TT in it, you might be alright, but as a race car, even with the adjustments we've got, we can, because you can't reliably turn in. You don't know what you're going to get on turning. It's like that. It's like you're just snatching the rear brakes, and you can drive it. Clearly you can get around, and if you were careful with it, you'd be alright. But it's not a race car that you'd want. Gee. It's like they expect you to drive it on the brakes. It's like they expect you to drive it either without using the brakes at all, or to use the brakes to brake the rear traction to get it to turn, and then try and straighten the car up to again get the throttle on. But you can't expect and this is a beginner's class, you can't expect a beginner to be able to have that. That's an unrealistic expectation, to expect someone who's new to racing, because this could very well be their first introduction to car racing, and you can't expect someone to just jump in and control that. So it was a 26.1. I'll tell you what, because I've got the lap times on there, let's put those on the screen. Let's get these. Let's put these. Where are they? Right, let's move. We don't need that really at all, do we? Let's put that. Let's get rid of that over there. Right, let's put this there. Okay. So at least you can then see the sort of times we're saying. So 26.1. See what I mean? It's like there's no way you could race this. Because you have to drive it constantly on the slide. Because that's how it is. As soon as you apply the brakes, it's and I dare say it's all to do with that inside rear wheel again. So I reckon if we were to have a quick look, if we were to do a brake test, let's on this next lap, let's do a test. Let's just stop the car in a hurry, and I'll have a look at the replay. Okay, so when I did that, I applied the brakes. You could see that on the dash readout there. So let's go into chase view. So when we get round to the start finish straight, we'll slow it down. Right. Okay. So now let's see which ones lock first, fronts or rears. I imagine it'll be just the fronts. When I did that, it felt like the fronts just locked and the rears were on the verge of locking, which you could say would be perfect. But the way that the rear suspension's working, it's not liking it. Here we go. So watch now, the left, right, fronts. Yeah, look, fronts just started to lock. Rears are still rotating, but then just started to lock at the end. Okay, so that's kind of what I expected to see there. But with the way the rear suspension is working, in the same way that when you're trying to get on the throttle and the inside, if you're on a lock, even if you take the track contours and gradients out of the equation, even if you're just on a lock and you're trying to apply the throttle, the inside wheel's light and it sort of spins up. And it feels like when you're on the brakes, the way it goes forward, the inside rear wheel is also getting light, and then it locks. And as soon as it locks, you're then in trouble. So although the brake balance in a dead straight line is probably about where you'd want it to be, it's not helping you in the slightest. So I'm going to move that up a lot. I'm going to go 65. I'm also going to drop the pressure a bit as well. I'm going to go down to 75. And we'll now go and try that and see if that helps the situation at all. I'm not worried about the speed limit this time. Otherwise I'll be here all night. And oddly, you'll probably find that this change actually affects the exit of the corners as well a little bit, because the rear of the car won't be, it will change how you drive the car to a more natural well, I say natural for me way of driving, where you're sort of where you sort of push the car into the corner a little bit rather than trying to induce a controlled slide every time you're driving the lines. Now, to me, if for a momentum series, that's exactly what you want. You don't want to be sliding. You want to be reducing slide as much as you can. Still there a little bit. It's still there, but nowhere near. I mean, the speed I carried in there was far greater than it was before. And you can see that it's still got a controlled slide, and it's still more than I'd like. But I've got so much more confidence to drive the car now and play with the car as well, because now in the middle of the corner the slide is nowhere near as extreme, so I can play with the car, I can feel the car more. Still got that oversteer. Still got a bit of oversteer. Alright, we're 25.6. Already a fair bit quicker there. That's on the first lap as well. So I'm not gonna. So we can. It's nice that we can rely on the first lap. So I'm not going to bother doing another lap. We'll leave it there. So 25.6. So we've gone from 26.18 to 25.63. That's a big chunk, and it's one simple change, and it makes me wonder why Reiza have not done that in the first place, because it's a massive difference. So let's jump back in here. I would like to go a bit further than that. I'm going to go 70. I'm just going to go to 70, and we'll see how that feels. It might be a bit far. The other thing as well is that I think that rake on the car, I don't think it's helping us at all, because the thing that's stopping you from going forwards is traction, and it's able to break traction so easily. So I'll try this brake balance adjustment now. We'll come back and we'll then probably reduce the rake, and we'll get the car sitting level at that point. Let's try it at 70% on the front. Yeah, you see now now we're in the right ballpark, I think. At 65 it was still a bit too far to the rear. This might have gone just maybe a little bit too far. Let's have a... I won't judge it yet because everything's still cold, isn't it? So I took that well. Noticed I was on the curb a little bit there. I turned in a bit too early. I noticed the rear pressures are a bit higher than the fronts as well, so that's something else we could have a look at. Okay, so yeah, possibly I've gone a bit too far now because the front just started to lock a little bit there. Very playful though. It's a little bit quicker at the moment, but I think we might lose that time. Yeah, did you hear that little bit of wheel spin there? It's just it'll be. I'll do it through here as well. Let's listen to the revs. Just can't quite pull it. Gone too fast in there. Made a mistake there. It's a bit of a scrappy lap, but it's still quicker. It's now 0.5, so it was a scrappy lap and it was still quicker. So I'm going to keep it at 70. So let's roll it back into the pits now. So let's change that suspension now. Let's change that rear ride height. Let's get that down. So it was 0.7, wasn't it? So if we drop that down to 33 and just go back to the pits, let's put it in telemetry so you can see it. Right, and HUD. Right, you can see that. So we've now got 2.6 centimeters height on the front and 2.7 on the rear. So we need to go just one more. So return to pits, edit, balance. Right, now this shouldn't have any rake at all. There we go. So it's now 2.7 front, 2.7 rear. Lovely. Okay, let's go and see what that does. Get that back on focus. Sorry for all the flipping around on OBS scenes and stuff, but it's just a nice way of showing you what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, and a really nice, easy way of doing it. It's not 100% perfect because it's not on a proper flat patch or anything, but for the purposes of what we're doing here, it's perfectly fine. You can overthink it to the nth degree, but at the end of the day, I want the car flat, so that's good enough. Now, I think this car is going to be one of those cars that will always be one of those ones where you're driving it on the throttle, it feels. This will be an interesting test through here. It's quite bumpy through this fast corner. Okay, it didn't bottom out, so that's fine. Because obviously, you know, dropping it 8mm that's not a small amount, that. It's starting to feel like a car I could enjoy now. And it's amazing, isn't it, how just a few small changes can totally make a car feel how you want it to feel. And as well, credit to Reiza as well, because to have the car model so reactive is fantastic. I might have to do a second lap here because, excuse me, it's with the lower rear end now. It's much more different. It's much different to drive. It almost changes the driving style you need. It's definitely got more traction now, and it doesn't move around as much. I'm having to use more lock. And it's a different way. So before I was driving it more on the brakes, now I'm driving it sort of more naturally. Well, there's your limit. So maybe then I've gone a bit too far with it. So now, because I'm having to drive it into the corner more, let's just see if it's just me. That could easily just be me. Because in my head this feels like it's the right way to go, and I want to make sure I give it a fair chance. Up to now, the others have all been slam dunks. This one, we've already got into the bits of the smaller differences, and you see there, it's still got that sort of dipping into the corner and oversteer. It still doesn't like that too much, but unfortunately, I don't think there's so much we can do about it. I think that's pretty much there because we don't have the ability to change certain things. So it's almost like it needs a more forward weight bias again. So it could be those. I don't want to prejudge it. I'm prejudging. I'm going to just drive for a sec. Excuse me. I'm just going to drive for a sec. Totally messed that up. Okay, I totally messed up the last corner, but it was up until that last corner. Now, might go a bit too far. Might just go a little bit too far. However, let's let's make that 33. I would like to reduce the tyre pressures as well. So I'm quite happy just to go up to 33 now. It's going to have a very minor effect. The car's quite reactive, which is really nice. But I'm not going to do another run just for the sake of 1mm to change on the ride height. I'm going to drop the tyre pressures down now. Let's see how far they go. Okay, so it's about 0.15 of a bar. So let's just drop them right down, because I don't subscribe to the inside, middle, outside golden rule. I've had experience with other cars in this game where following that inside, middle, outside, even spread, it hasn't produced as good a results as a lower pressure than the ideal. So with it being a road tyre, it might behave differently. But I'm going to go with my experience. I'm going to drop it down to 1.7. Just drop it as low as it will go, and then we'll try that. And obviously we've dropped the rears by more than we have the front, so that should help stabilise the rear a little bit as well. And if the rear is if the rear is less stable now, that will tell me that actually dropping the pressures is the wrong thing to do, because it means that they would have lost more grip than the fronts, even though I'm actually expecting them to gain grip. So if I'm right, they'll gain grip. If I'm wrong, they'll lose grip. Early signs are that it feels like it's gained grip at the back. However, everything's not quite warmed up yet, so a bit early to say for sure. A little bit faster. Okay, not by much. It's fun. It's good fun. Haven't quite got that corner nailed yet. Still got that oversteer on turning, which I don't think we're ever going to truly get rid of, but it just feels like it's a bit too much at the moment. So that's a 550. So two 25.5s on the trot, on the bounce. So it's quite a nice, consistent car to drive. Definitely keeping those tyre pressure changes. So let's have a look. Let's see what else we've got. So we can. I'm definitely keeping those. I'm not going to mess around with those anymore. I'm going to drop Excuse me, I'm going to drop that down a bit further. I'm going to leave the brake balance where it is. I think the drop in the brake pressure should just allow me to have a bit more modulation. I think that will be enough for me. Do you know what? I think I just want a bit more rear end stability. It still feels like I'm turning in, and it just feels like I'm still driving it on the rear end too much. So I'm going to drop that down. Let's try 28. How far can we go? 20. I think if we went that far, I think we'd be bottoming out. Let's go to 28. And then if that gives me a bit more rear end grip, let's increase that to 17 as well. So then we've got a bit more steering lock. So we should be able to then have a bit more steering lock applied, given the same. So yeah, let's try that. Let's see where we are with that. And there's not much else to change after that, is there? Normally I wouldn't change two things at any one time, but the brake thing I'm happy to isolate from the ride height. The steering angle thing, I think I can isolate that from the ride height. I'm confident I can isolate that, because that will determine how the car feels when I'm on a lock, and it's a fairly minor change anyway. And the ride height, I'm hoping going to a negative rake essentially, which you wouldn't normally expect to do, but in real life you wouldn't expect it, but it's a game. And also as well, to be fair, if it is real life or if it's a game, it doesn't matter. You do what the car is asking you. You know, you listen to what the car is telling you, and you do what you got to do with what you have available. Now, it might not follow convention, but you know, if everyone followed convention, we'd all be going the same speed. You look at NASCAR. It's a great example. NASCAR's a great example. You build a car to the NASCAR rulebook, you'll be nowhere in that field. Every single car in that field has got little tweaks here or there that are outside of the rulebook, outside of convention, probably. So it's you gotta do what you've got to do what you can with what you have. Even if it's not necessarily what people would expect you to do. And some people might poo-poo it, that's fine, but I'll do what works. It feels like I've got a better race car. It might not be ultimately faster, but it feels like over a race it's going to look after me better already. So like, even just that, a little touch of the curb, it was okay with it. It didn't mind it at all, it was fine. It's quite a cool introduction car, I'd say, to racing. And it's like there, I got that completely wrong. And it hasn't chucked me off the circuit, so that's pretty good. Right, let's stop talking. What was that? It's a 0.6. So straight away, bang, you're on the money on a car that you quite happily race. was me. That was totally on me, that one. I don't think you can ever... I said it earlier, I don't think this car, you're ever going to get rid of it. You haven't got control of all the things you'd normally have. Let's give it another whirl. So that was what I hoped the brake modulation would help prevent. Wait till you see the time. 25.3. Right, okay. Well, I'm happy with that. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot more out of that, really. That's pretty much where it is. I reckon maybe move the brake balance forwards a little bit if you were wanting it a bit more user-friendly. Maybe. Yeah, please forgive my silly spin in the previous lap, but I can assure you that was totally down to me. And yes, alright, the car behaved in such a way that it stung me, but I turned in, so I was on the brakes and I turned in a bit late, and I turned in quite aggressively, and the rear just didn't like it. And please also bear in mind that I've only driven this car for this session, so yeah, it's not a car I'm that familiar with, but I'm quite happy with what we've done. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed that no, I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to say that bit. I think I should go back and I should return to pits. Right, let's just quickly go through. So we've got 1.7, 1.7, 72, 70, 28 and 17. Nothing on there. Right, so let's reset the setup back to what it was, right? So we're now back to the Reiza default settings. Okay, right. I'm going to go and do another run on the default settings. I want to be fair about this, because I want to make sure it's not just me getting used to the car. Because a big part of setting up a car is verification. A lot of people miss this stage, miss or ignore, whichever, but you've got to verify what you're doing. Now, if this was a dedicated thing for me, I would go back and I'd be verifying every single part of the setup, and it would be a longer process. I'm not going to show you all of that, but essentially I would rerun and run again, and I would run in combinations of the things I've changed. But in this case, let's go back to the default setup and see if it's me that's adapted to the car, and it just happens that the setup is nice as well, or if it's the setup that's done the trick. It's a lot of work goes into setups, and that's why people pay for them. It's not see, I I find it disappointing that people sell them, but at the same time I can also understand it because there's a lot of effort goes into it. And it's a genuine advantage if you can do it as well. To the rear, they're already snatching away. We're already 0.3 down. Okay, it's not just me. Okay, cool. Oh man, right. We'll do another lap after this. We've got to be 100%. You can't make assumptions. Even those first couple of changes we made that were slam dunks at the time, you know, even they get verified as well. You have to, because otherwise you end up going down a rabbit hole that you wish you hadn't. You know, for the little time it takes to verify, it can save you literally weeks, because you can spend weeks going down this wrong avenue and you end up losing results out of it, you know, and enjoyment as well, because you end up getting lost in it and then things don't work as you expect them to work. Yeah, I just can't place the car as accurately. I mean, it's fun, but it's not fast. Okay, right. I've seen enough. We're already half a second down, so I've seen enough. That's, for me, that's verified now. So, right, let's put it back to what it was then. So, 1.7. 72. 70. 28. 17. So, our setup, our final setup is going to be 1.7 bar front and rear, basically as low as possible on the front tire, on the tire pressures. 72% brake pressure. That's a personal thing. That will probably change for you, but for me and my system, 72 gives me the modulation I'm looking for. Brake balance of 70. That's probably going to be the biggest thing you would change now from circuit to circuit, just to get the balance of the car where you want it on the brakes. Steering lock at 17. It's a minor change, but I think the combination of the increased steering lock, even though it's a minor change, but the combination of that and then the drop in ride height, which brings it to a negative rake, but the combination of those two things allowed the front end of the car to still make the turn. So that's, I think those two changes, one without the other wouldn't have been that effective. And then the drivetrain is what it is, really. Yeah. So yeah, that's the setup. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. What I was going to say earlier that I stopped myself from saying was, and I'm happy to say it now, I'm a little bit disappointed that Reiza didn't do this work originally. I mean, this video is now, well, so we're just coming up to 50 minutes in now to this session. For 50 minutes work, the difference in the way the car drives and feels is night and day. And it's, the way it drives now is a far nicer experience than what the default setup is, and it's a brand new car introduced to the game, and they're not giving the user the experience that they could be getting, people could be going away from here and absolutely lauding how brilliant this series is, how brilliant this car is, and how lovely it drives. And they're not. They're going to go away and they're going to go, it's a bit evil to drive. It's a bit funny to drive. Oh, you can drive it, but you got to be really careful with how you drive it. Race cars shouldn't be hard to drive. They shouldn't be that difficult to drive. They shouldn't be wrestling you and fighting you. They should be sensitive, yes. Some cars will be sensitive, but they should not be deadly. You know, they should be balanced and nice, and it should be harmony. It shouldn't be a fight. Anyway, I'm over it now. So, I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you find it helpful, and thank you for supporting. And until the next time, we'll see you later.